Judith Pressman, that eventually became Judith Botzelman, is my first cousin. She is the only one that survived the Holocaust. Her father was Israel Pressman, my father's younger brother, who was a bookkeeper and went to Chernowitz. Eventually ended up in Chernowitz, and his wife was Bertha Surkis. Bertha Surkis was the sister of Meshullam Surkis, the well-known writer. She made it back to Chernowitz. Meshullam Surkis was not there. He and his wife, I don't believe they were in Transnistria, but they were elsewhere. I don't even know if they were in a camp, but they were elsewhere. And his parents had a house that she remembered, so she went back to that house and she lived there for a few months until then the Meshullam Surkis came back to that house and remained there with his wife, and she stayed. I don't think he formally adopted her, but he was extremely nice to her. And he had one daughter, Malka. So Malka and Judith were cousins, first cousins, and I think they were about the same age. And so they became very close. He insisted that they only speak Yiddish. And then so when she talked to Malka, even though in town in Chernowitz, German was spoken, and Judith was very fluent in German, and Russian was spoken, and she's fluent in both of those languages. When they were in the Chernowitzes, it was just Yiddish when she was with Malka. And so she stayed there until 1955, when I think she was married. She married Leonid Botzelman, who was originally from Bessarabia, and they went to Lvov, and eventually they went to Israel in 1973. Now, this is important, I think. When you read the letter, the interview that she had in Israel, in Yiddish, and I have the English translation for you too, she describes herself as a plain, uneducated girl, because she didn't have any real formal education, plain. And she learned a lot living with Meshullam Surkis, because you'll see it in the photograph. He had an extensive library. This is a picture of Judith, probably at the age of 14. My guess is it was taken in Meshullam Surkis's library, because that's where she lived. She lived at his house. And as you can see from the photograph, not only is there a map, but there's all sorts of books in the background, an assortment of books which typified his upbringing, his interests. Meshullam Surkis was not only an author, he was an actor. He was active in the Shulverein, which was a society. His house was always open to Jewish actors, poets, writers, and they had this, what they called a tish. Maybe it's called a Yiddish tish. And they'd come over and they'd have lunch and all that sort of thing. And so she met a lot of these writers at that time.